Hey, everybody, it's the Pothead Professor back again for a new video series. Today's going to be the first in a series of videos I'm doing into the history of cannabis. This is a subject that's super interesting. I'm learning a ton just doing research for these videos. I'm going to try to do it in chronological order. It might end up getting a little bit regional based. I'm not sure. Things are still kind of developing. The basic idea of history of cannabis will be what we're aiming for here. Cannabis has been around for a very long time. It originated in southern and central Asia, that kind of Thailand, India, and western China area. It's been used for millennia, and today's episode is going to focus on the Chinese, who kind of first introduced it, or at least we have the earliest written writings of them using the cannabis plant for many different uses. They actually found some hempen rope fibers in some Chinese pottery that was dated in 10,000 BC. So for at least 10,000 years, they've been using cannabis fibers for rope. So obviously, the industrial fibers are going to be one of the biggest things that were first developed. Like I said, rope. They also used it in clothing, and they even were able to use it for advanced warfare tactics. It became a pretty big factor when the Chinese started incorporating hemp into their bowstrings. It made their bowstrings more durable than a lot of their competitors, who at the time were using bamboo fibers for their strings. So a stronger string means that you can shoot an arrow farther than your opponent. So they were outranging their lead opponents with their archers. So giant factor in a huge, back in the day, in the ancient times when being good at war was pretty darn important. This was such a major factor that Chinese emperors would set aside plots of land specifically to grow hemp with, to make these bowstrings, to make ropes, sails, clothing, like I mentioned. So it sort of developed into the first ever war crop that we know of. And while Japan and Korea were also using hemp in their clothes, their ropes, certainly their sails, things like that, we have a bit more in the way of written evidence from the Chinese empires of this time because of one of China's greatest inventions, paper, which they made with hemp and the cannabis plant. So they were able to use the cannabis plant mixed with some mulberry bark, pulp that out, and form it into sheets of paper that they could write on. And they actually held this as a well-guarded secret, how to create paper, for hundreds of years. Eventually, Japan got a hold of it, as did some Islamic states of those ancient times. And eventually it went out from there. But for a while, China was kind of the only game in town when it came to paper, and that was due in at least part to the cannabis plant, which they were already growing en masse. The Chinese also, very early on, noticed the medicinal benefits the cannabis plant could bring them. There's one emperor named Shenyang, who is known as the father of Chinese medicine, and he wrote in his extensive pharmacopoeia in 2800 BC that the cannabis plant has got a ton of medicinal value, including being a useful treatment for arthritis, general pain relief, depression, inflammation, lack of appetite, and asthma, which we are still using the cannabis plant today in medical industries around the world for exactly those things. So, between the industrial properties and the medicinal properties, China has been using cannabis in the same way we have for over 4,000 years. They still use it very much industrially today. They still use the hemp seeds for medicinal purposes as well. But something that you don't see in a lot of the Chinese writings is the psychoactive properties. From what at least I could find in my research, it doesn't seem like we have very many records at all, if any, about the ancient Chinese purposefully getting intoxicated or using cannabis for religious experiences. But obviously that is quickly something that some other cultures caught onto. And in the next episode of the Cannabis History channel here, we are going to get into India, where they did start using it for religious and medicinal intoxication. So they're going to actually start smoking the plant, making hashish, and we'll get into that more in the next episode. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. I hope it was informative. Like I said, I'm learning a ton just researching for these videos. So I expect to learn a new thing every time I make one of these, and I hope you do as well. Certainly let me know if you think I missed anything in each episode. Certainly keep that discussion going. I'm always interested to learn as much as I can about this wonderful plant, and I will see you guys in the next video. Take it easy, everybody.